What's up, my buddy? What's up, my good buddies? What's up, my people? Hey, listen, man. So I was doing, I try not to make it my business to count how many days, but I appreciate numbers, and I just can't seem to leave certain things alone. And so I realized today that I have I'm pretty sure that I made it past the level of maturity as far as semen goes, as far as where your semen matures. I guess it would be around the 100-day mark or so, maybe shorter than that. And so I felt like it was a good time to really speak on how I did things right this time. In my opinion, did things right. And because I talked about where I went wrong, so let me just add some balance, man, because I mean, things are clicking. Things are really clicking for me in a way where I feel like I have the power. I almost don't know where to begin. A new occurrence is happening for me that I would like to, kind of keep up with is that I've been waking up three something in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, after being asleep for like a few hours now, which, naturally I would want to sleep for longer than that, 8 hours, really, seven and a half, what have you. But what I do is that I'll end up taking a nap somewhere in the middle of the day or what have you. But when I wake up at this time, man, I just feel like I have more power in certain aspects. So then and I'm working on my follow through right now. But like I just feel powerful in a position where I'm like I have the control. I'm awake before most people. What shall I do? Will I work out? Will I meditate? Will I read my Kindle? You know what I'm saying? All of these things. I feel inclined to do it. I feel powerful just thinking about it, and even more so in engaging in these things. But and so briefly, when I talk about where I went wrong, is some of the things is that my diet was poor. That's for starters. My diet was poor for starters. Um, I was eating bad food if I was eating at all. Then I guess the timing was bad. I was kind of barely getting by, and I wasn't asking anyone for like money or food or anything like that. I was just kind of eating what was available to me, and that wasn't really good. And I was stressed, and I was uncomfortable. I was in survival mode. Um, I was in an uncomfortable living situation. I really hated it. Um, things are different. It's kind of the complete opposite now. Now I can feed myself to things that I want. I'm taking vitamins. I'm not smoking anymore. I'm not drinking anymore. I'm constantly meditating and being reflective and drinking water, working out, gaining in weight just like I intended on doing. I intended to do. And semen retention definitely had a big part to play in it. When you talk about muscle recovery and building up testosterone levels, uh, this is this is something that I noticed to be very instrumental in my growth. It's like I mean, I do, obviously I do get tired or whatever, but it just seems like it just feels like I can't really stress this enough. And I'm trying to kind of unpack it right now, but it's just this great sense of power that I feel where it's like all things are possible, where I don't really find it in me to make excuses. Now I'm speaking on the physical things right now, but I don't want to lose sight of kind of like the spiritual things. And that's what I think I need to speak on more so, because I never really do that, because I do practice spirituality. I was just speaking on like meditation and things like that, but really my intuition is very, very powerful. And I'm learning to trust that. I'm learning to trust that because I'm not, it feels like I am less and less as the days go on, less and less attached to the physical world around me, and it's like I'm guided by something internally, and that's how it should be. Your GPS should always be internal. Um, Firstly, and you should make like an antenna of sorts, and it kind of reaches out and latches on to things. But first, it always starts here. You know what I'm saying? It always starts here before like I believe is what you learn in the art of war. Maybe you learn that in 48 Laws of Power. Maybe both is that the battle is fought in the mind first before the battle is fought before it's even fought. You know what I'm saying? And that it's always going to start in the mind. That's why I'm always big on resources, always big on using any tool that's readily available to you. I actually want to make a video on that too. I actually want to be kind of brief with this one so as not to be redundant because I've made many videos on semen retention. But so a couple of things that I've definitely noticed have been working for me. I kind of touched on it, but another thing I really want to touch on is this my body, the way my body is transforming. Man, I gain weight and muscle extremely fast, and maybe I can't say I plateaued a little bit, but I guess started to I guess what you would call bullshit. Over the past few weeks or so, I started to pick up a little bit. I don't know, but that's the thing about intuition is that I'm learning to trust my body. That's the most important part. I'm learning to trust my body. So if I wake up like I woke up today at 3 something in the morning, I know I only slept for like 4 hours or whatever. My old way of thinking would be to I kind of spoke on that, but I'll go over that again. But my old way of thinking would be to try to get back to sleep and say, oh, let me get to let me try to get to 7.5 hours. Let me get to 8 hours. But how I feel right now is that I was just if I wake up, then I'll get up. All right, that's how I like to do things. Yeah, I understand you just got here, but what I'm saying, what I'm saying, oh, you barely sleep on semen retention. See, that probably has a lot to do with testosterone. One thing that I've learned is that the more more testosterone you got in your body, less sleep that you may need. I actually want to do some reading on that, have something else to talk about. But what I mean when I say doing it right this time is because there are a couple of things that I could have been doing to help my semen retention journey. And like I said that my diet was poor. I think I was doing the edging technique too much. Um, I wasn't working out. That was a big thing. I wasn't working out enough. I don't think I was meditating enough. And so those are some of the things that I believe we should all be doing on this journey. It's not just so we can say the 200 days here, I reached the 200-day mark. Because again, like after you reach the 100-day mark, in my opinion, it's safe to say that you have reached that level of maturity as far as semen retention goes. And so you just kind of plateau from there. Now, I'm not saying that, okay, at that day, then you just go bust a nut or whatever. No, I mean, keep it going, but like use it to your advantage. So if you have the capabilities, you have the resources now readily available for you to, I don't know, help you maximize and how fast you learn or your spiritual journey or how you can transform your body or whatever, then you got to use it. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have made a decision to go to Home Depot or whatever, buy a hammer, doesn't mean a house is going to be built. You still got to do some things with it. Now, some things will come, kind of more naturally than the other, but I just work it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta work it. That's important. Let me see. I'm on day 57. I feel like it hasn't been working because I ain't been doing nothing. You think I should reset so I can build up new? No, 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 no. Keep going, but do something. That's the thing. It's just one of those things where it's like you gotta. It's like one of those old cars where you go behind it, you start cranking it up. You gotta crank yourself up. All right, do some things to activate. All right. So the way that I like to go about certain things when the best way to attack something is to send everything you got at it from all angles. All right, so if you're practicing semen retention, you may want to mix that with taking cold showers, intermittent fasting, exercising, reading, meditation. Do all of that. All right. Because that semen retention is a discipline in itself. So you've already proven to yourself that you know how to be disciplined to some degree. You just start adding other things in it. Maybe you just start waking up earlier, and maybe you put the harder things first. Whatever it is, it's all a process. It's all of trial and error, but you just do it. And I can't stress this enough. You know, you gotta listen. You gotta listen to your intuition. It's gonna tell you to do. It might not give you the whole story, but it's gonna give you something to go off of. And sometimes that's all you need, because all you really have is this moment. It doesn't matter if you can see the whole mountain when you know goddamn well the way you get to the top of a mountain is step by step. You climb. You inch your way closer until you know what I'm saying. Until you at the top. So when you're on your journey, you already solidify that, and then you go do other things. All right. Um, and this is a great opportunity to take on more challenges. I was on my shit around 12 days, but I'm starting to fall back into this matrix low key because of my family, since they're around me 24/7. I understand. Uh, I understand because I guess that's the case for me too. But this is why I practice the meditation. This is why I stay to myself. I spend as much time to myself as possible. This is why, and I don't even know why I didn't mention this, but it's a good time. This is why I open up my journal and I just write down my deepest thoughts. When I go to YouTube, I go looking for things that isn't necessarily mainstream. A, a big a big part of what I kind of fixate myself with, like, there's a couple things that I feed myself as far as YouTube goes, and the algorithm seems to favor that. And so it's business stuff, business related stuff, and a lot of kind of pizza gate type thing, Nasara, Jasara, just makings of what's going on in the world, what the media may not be trying to report. That's just kind of where my mind is, because you know I kind of concluded years ago, and many people have, that we were actually dealing with spiritual warfare. So a lot of the things that make people fearful, a lot of things that people worry about, a lot of things that people get consumed with, these they kind of just kind of acknowledge it on a in a physical manner, and in a physical form. They only focus on what's going on outside of them, what the news is telling them, all these things, all these fear mongering things. But it isn't until you dive deep within yourself that you actually realize that, as above so below, things are happening on a spiritual level, especially. You know what I'm saying? Is it normal to become quiet or antisocial when you become conscious? Because I was never like this until I started my awakening. And awkward. It is, because you're gonna have a tough time trying to. You see, you might have this ability to fit in, but as you start to go further on your journey, you're going to be more and more hesitant, because what you realize is that when you get to yourself, and when it comes to the things that you research and the things that you kind of expose yourself to, it takes you in a totally different direction. So I know that when I turn the camera on me, I'm talkative. I'm talk sometimes I don't even take a breath. I just be talking, talking, talking. If you meet me in person, I'm not really that talkative at all. When I'm around other people, I'm quiet. I'm usually the quietest person in the room, really, because I'm just observing. I'm always listening. This is how I can come to these videos and just have a lot to talk about, because I'm always listening. And I know what my intentions are when I step to this thing. Some people, they get their power from uh, or their sense of purpose from being around a group of people and being the loudest person in the room and things like that. That doesn't really satisfy me. because I often look at who people gravitate towards and how they often gravitate towards the loudest person in the room, and they don't even really know why they do it, but just because it's just a demand. Somebody's commanding your attention and things like that would not, and not necessarily have anything to feed the people. And because the people are so used to being fed with whatever's the loudest in the room, then they just gravitate towards it. But that may not be the case for you. That's not the case for me. You know what I'm saying? When people start barking, I'll listen for a little bit, see what they talking about, and maybe I even eavesdrop beyond that. But after a while, I realized, okay, this ain't really about shit. It's just somebody wanting to, I don't know, be seen or whatever. And then I just dive deep, dive within myself. Me personally, I try to avoid the crowds. So when you talk about a year like this, I'm kind of glad there's less reason. I mean, there's more reason to not be around a bunch of people. And in my past, and this is actually this is kind of a reset for me, because now I have to learn how to maneuver in this world when things kind of get back to normal, if they ever do. I have to maneuver around these crowds with kind of a new behavior. And because I used to go, I used to have a tough time, and I probably still will, but I used to have a tough time being around a bunch of people without drinking. And I don't really want to drink anymore, and I'm definitely not going to smoke anymore. So, as I've been sober for almost 4 months. I That's the new norm for me, and I just need to, at least if I'm going to spend a lot of time with myself, I got to get something out of it. So I need to build up my foundation. I may not always know what I'm preparing myself for, but I'm going to prepare myself. Just used to be always loud and talking to everyone. Then I just naturally started becoming more quieter and more awkward as time went on, and I really don't like it. Well, you have to ask yourself, why don't you like it? That's where I would start. But no matter what I don't like about my life, I realize that it's better to embrace it, even accept it. You know what I'm saying? Accept the things that you can change and the things that you can't, all the same. And you just figure what you want to do about it. You know what I'm saying? In every situation that you find yourself in, you got to think about how you can make the best out of it. That's one thing that I had to realize about, like, being a parent, being a father. A lot of fathers, they don't spend as much time around their kids as I do. All right, for better or for worse. But I I struggled internally, and I resisted a lot of the time that I had to spend with my daughter, because I feel like, oh, this is getting in the way of how productive I can be, it's getting in the way of any opportunity or me trying to make a better life for myself and for her. But I threw that away, and I figured, okay, whatever situation that I'm in, I gotta make the best out of it, and I didn't always do that. You know what I'm saying? So there was even more room after accepting that to maximize potential. Like, for example, because of new scheduling agreements, I take care of my daughter for, you know the scheduling is kind of difficult to explain, but let's just say I had my daughter last night. Okay, I'm not a every other weekend dad. I'm not a weekend dad, but I had my daughter last night. And so when I woke up at 3 something in the morning, she was obviously still asleep. That's the time that you use to take advantage, to take advantage of, the fact that you have those responsibilities. Some people say, it's just all trial and error. And being a parent is actually it's great training for something like that, and to make the best out of uh, every situation that you find yourself placed in, because it's quite a shakeup to the way you live, when you go from not having a child and you just do things whenever you want. You decide when you wake up, and you only got to worry about feeding yourself. And if you want to just up and leave the town, leave the country, cut your phone off, then you just go do that. To you kind of always having to be accountable for somebody, you're always obligated to take care of somebody. And if you want to be any good at it, if you don't want your child to grow up and think you're a piece of shit, there's just the things that you have to do. And you brought her into this world. You decided that's what you wanted to do, and you just live with it. But what I found is that, and this is a big thing, because when things are hard, we always seem to focus on ourselves. So, and when I as I say this, here's one thing to remember: just because you have a child, or just because you are in a compromising position, doesn't mean you can't outdo people who have less obligation than you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of off subject, but I actually need to speak on this, because here's the thing: when you have something that kind of compromises your way of living, the way you go about things, then it forces you to form a structure of sorts. And so when you form a structure, you get organized. And what you may find is that you may be envious of people who have more time on their hands, who don't have kids and things like that, but they may not be as organized, meaning they may not end up being as successful as you. If that makes any sense. And I don't know how I got to talking about parenting, but it's never a bad time to talk about strategy. And a lot of you, I don't know if you got kids or not, but it's just it's something that nobody ever really prepares you for. They say, "Oh, it's not about you anymore," and they say goodbye to your sleep. But living it is a totally different situation. You're always learning. You're always being challenged. Okay, and that's just one thing that I'm big on, is just challenging and optimizing your way of living. But also, I'm also big on just throwing it all away for a second. You know what I'm saying? You say time waits for no man. Yeah, 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 whatever. We got this rat race mentality that we always got to keep going, always got to keep producing and things like that. And I've internalized that. I've embodied that. And there's so much that I actually want to accomplish. But even through relaxing and having a lot of moments where I just do nothing, in many regards I've outdone my peers. Now it's not enough for me to just say, okay, well, I ain't gonna do nothing, for the next 5 years, whatever it is. But I'm pacing myself like the tortoise and the hare, and I'm accomplishing things. Like even right now, I was supposed to thought I wanted to publish another book this summer, and I guess I won't be because of what I'm gonna say next. And I've been kind of just BSing with this book that I've probably been working on since last year. And even still, I'm a few editing sessions away from having the biggest book I've ever written. You know what I'm saying? Because I did the work collectively over the years. I said I've been working on this since last year, but a couple of these things I'm kind of bringing from something I was working on 2017, 2018 that didn't make the cut. But just because over the time period I put in a little effort, then this is what I have. You know what I'm saying? So I'm big on that, and I thought actually, when it comes to that, I thought about scrapping this book. I definitely thought about it, but it's like I don't know, maybe this is like this for everybody, but it's like a pendulum. It swung back in a direction where it's like, man, you know what, you know, you may have lost momentum and shit like that, but I mean, and this is how I got back into this mindset, is because I started copying. I went back and seeked, and tried to find all of the material that I had for this particular book. Then I put it all together. Then I copied and pasted and see how the word count was, and I'm like, oh man, damn man, like look what you bullshitting, and this what happened. Like imagine if you were chipping at this every day. Imagine if you were writing every day. And I've taken a bit of a hiatus from writing, really, but it just goes to show, man, like, because I like to do like math. You know what I'm saying? I love math. I'm not top tier, maybe above average, but I just like to do little simple things to kind of hype myself up. And I mean, numbers, they just, not only do they not lie, they just they just tell a story of its own. If that makes any sense. So, like for example, like let's say you wanted to be a writer. Let's say you want to write something, okay? And you say, well, I mean, it'd be nice to, have a write a book by the next year or something like that. But you get writer's block, or you get kind of overwhelmed by setting the goal. Say, oh, I'll write 500, I'll write 1,000 words, or maybe even 500 words is too much for you when you sit down and write. You say, well, then you say, okay, I'll write 100 words, 100 words a day. So 100 words times, let's see, 365, 36,500 words. You know, and that's 100 words a day. Just simple math. Find a way to just simplify things, and then you just go hard at it. So that's the thing. So it starts here, and with the physical boost that you get from practicing semen retention, you use that as a driving force. So first, you got to lay it out. So, for example, when it comes to working out, when I think about the whole, I get a little discouraged. You know, mainly, I mean, I just get discouraged. I'm like, oh man, I gotta do legs, arms, and stomach or whatever. But then I realized, like, if you simplify and you say, okay, if I just put a timer on and I start doing these squats, these jumping squats for 60 seconds or whatever, like, yeah, it doesn't take long. Or you put a song on, a 5-minute song. I'm gonna dedicate this song to doing uh squats and lunges and all that. Like, your legs are gonna feel it off that little bit of effort. You just, I mean, I won't. I mean, it's hard for me to say a little bit of effort, but as far as time goes, but you power through with that extra boost that you have from semen retention. And also, because I wanted to fit this in earlier, but since I'm all over the place, let me just go ahead and throw this in now. What I found is that if you start your workouts with doing, because I don't know, I guess a lot of people don't seem to favor the legs. The legs seem to be the hardest ones to get into. You do push-ups all day and all that, but the leg exercises seem to make everybody slow down. You know what I'm saying? Make them drag their feet. No pun intended. But I found that, and I've read a little bit on it. I want to read some more. But I found that if you start your workout out with working on legs, it almost like it sends a shock to the rest of your body. It's like it sends extra testosterone to the rest of the body. And I've heard that the most of the testosterone forms in your legs and your thigh area. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but through my experience, I found that to be true. It's almost it's almost like that's how it's supposed to be. It's like it's supposed to flow to the top and not the other way around. So if I were to do push-ups first, it almost makes me feel lazier. It almost makes me feel more reluctant to do the leg exercises afterwards. But if I start off by, let's say, because yesterday I was listening to Michael Jackson, while I do some leg exercises. And by the way, if you listen to music, if you like to rock out the music and things like that, try to program yourself to do some leg exercises while you do. You know what I'm saying? It's already an exercise in a sense, but go ahead and work those muscles, man. Work those thighs, those hamstrings. But like I said, I found that in working this, I just have a lot more energy, and then I feel a lot more motivated to uh to do the other parts of my body. And also another thing that I realized when it comes to simplifying the workouts is that just kind of separating. How people say, "Oh, it's leg day." So kind of like that, but I kind of do all of that within the day. So, or within the session. So I may start off and say, okay, I'm just going to work on legs. I'll just only work on legs. That's it. Not even a circuit. I mean, I'm cool with a circuit, but I don't know. It seems to tire me out faster. But I just say, okay, just focus on legs. Just focus on legs. Keep doing these squats. Keep doing these lunges. Keep doing that. Dude, I'm tired. I'm tired with that. Then I say, okay, well, then I just work on the abs, the core, and all that. So I just keep doing that. Then I'll work up top, and that's it, man. That's all I can really say. One of the biggest one of the biggest benefits from practicing semen retention is just, it's almost like having a generator. It's hard, it's like it's always something readily available to you. It's almost like break in case of an emergency type thing. You know what I'm saying? When you feel a little weak, you just had to, you kickstart it however you see fit, and it's like you back in the game. Whatever it is to trigger that for you. For you, it may be the challenge of playing some chess. For you, it might be playing some sports, working out, reading, whatever it is. But there's that generator that's just readily available for you. So, like what Eli, I think it was Eli who said this, was talking about he's doing it for 57 days, and should he start over? No, because I mean it's still there. You know what I'm saying? You're still doing the work. It just needs to be you just need to activate it. And it's as simple as just taking that initiative to uh just just push yourself. And the thing is, it, through practicing semen retention, and I've learned the first go around I've done this, I did it for well over a year. This time is over 100 days, and I'm almost certain that this is going to take me long. I'm going to ride this out, a lot further than the first go around. Um, that this is I forgot where I was going with this, but that this is just that extra driving force. That this is what seems to propel me. This is always the kind of like my safety net. It just brings me back up. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. I had one more thing to say, but really, what I should be saying is goodbye. I have some other things to talk about. Don't know if I'm gonna do it right now. I might check back in a couple hours. But I just wanted to speak on that. Maybe be encouraging, let you all know, man, that it's still worth doing. You ain't missing out on nothing by just jerking off into a napkin or whatever. I don't know. But all right, y'all. Best wishes.